Welcome to the deep dive. I think you, like me, are probably grappling with this feeling that the sheer speed and volume of information today is it's overwhelming.
It really is.
And it makes you wonder if the way we were taught, especially in subjects like history or social studies, is still relevant at all.
If it's still fit for purpose.
Exactly. It feels like we're all running on this really outdated operating system.
And that feeling is precisely the problem our source material for today is trying to solve. What we're diving into is genuinely radical. It's a full K-12 social studies curriculum, but it was built for the unique and often just brutally challenging reality of classrooms in Alaska.
Okay, when you say unique, what kinds of obstacles are we actually talking about here? Because that context is everything.
It absolutely is. I mean, this curriculum had to work for teachers in high schools with mixed grade classrooms. We're talking environments with extremely uneven or sometimes no internet access.
Yeah.
Minimal prep time, regular closures for extreme weather, and even interruptions for, essential community activities like subsistence hunting or fishing seasons.
That is the ultimate stress test for any education plan. A curriculum that can survive, that has lessons for all of us, no matter where we live.
I agree. And the mission for this deep dive is to really unpack its core design philosophy.
Yeah.
It fundamentally redefines what rigor is, what student engagement looks like, and maybe most surprisingly, it completely overhauls the whole assessment system.
I love that.
The whole thing is built on this great line.
Yeah.
It has to be workable on a good day and survivable on a hard one.
That's a great framing. So for you listening, here is the core idea this curriculum offers. First, that local knowledge really matters more than imported examples. And second, that rigor doesn't have to be joyless. This isn't just about teaching history. It's about engineering a learning environment to be durable and relevant, even under extreme pressure.
So to start, let's maybe look at the foundational beliefs, specifically how they see the teacher.
Okay, let's unpack this. The most surprising thing for me in the philosophy is just the incredible degree of trust they place in the teacher.
Yes.
The curriculum isn't just content, it's this statement that relevance is essential for learning to actually stick. And the authors are explicit. They say the goal is to support the teacher, not to manage them.
That is a huge shift. I mean, teachers are literally encouraged to adjust freely. If a lesson needs to bend to fit the needs of a specific community, the teacher is supposed to bend it.
And the source says that isn't going rogue.
No, it's being a professional human being.
Yeah, that just immediately hits on a core frustration for teachers everywhere, that feeling of being managed by these rigid mandates. But this approach, it has to fundamentally change what the teacher is actually doing in the classroom.
It does. It moves away from what the sources call the long-standing coverage model of teaching.
The coverage model.
Yeah, and if you went to school a while ago, you know this model. It's lecture, notes, textbook reading, and then a quiz.
Right, get through the chapter.
Exactly. It prizes just covering a massive amount of content over whether students actually retain any of it or master a skill.
So if they move away from that model, does that mean the teacher basically stops being the main source of historical information?
Essentially, yes. The teacher's role is elevated. They go from being a content dispenser to the designer of learning pathways.
Okay.
They become a facilitator of inquiry and, this is crucial, a coach for evidence-based reasoning. This is the key shift. The student is put at the center of the hard cognitive work. They have to build the knowledge.
And the teacher is at the center of the instructional design that makes that work possible and, meaningful.
Exactly.
That sounds incredible, but it does raise a big practical question. If teachers can adjust freely, how do you stop that from just collapsing into chaos? There must be some kind of rigid framework underneath all that flexibility.
Absolutely. That's where the coherent instructional backbone comes in. Despite all that freedom, across every single grade band K through 12 students find this very predictable instructional rhythm.
And that predictability, I assume, is intentional.
Very intentional. It reduces the cognitive load for both the teacher and the student. It helps with long-term retention.
So tell me about that rhythm. What does it look like?
It's a simple four-step structure. First, you have mini tasks that build essential skills. Then performance tasks that synthesize that learning. Third, portfolios to document growth over time. And finally, revision to support mastery. That rhythm is the container that holds everything else.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for us. The central piece of that rhythm is inquiry. Inquiry isn't treated like some optional, enrichment activity for the top students. The curriculum makes it the organizational backbone.
Right. It's not an add-on.
No. Every single unit is structured around a compelling question, an authentic task, and the need for evidence-based reasoning.
And that inquiry skill, it's not static. It's developed very intentionally as students get older. So in grades 3 to 5, the focus is foundational. Kids learn how to investigate, how to ask good questions, and explain their findings.
And then in middle school, grades 6 to 8, the complexity ramps up. Students go from just explaining to analyzing, evaluating sources, and synthesizing different pieces of information.
And by the time they're in high school, grades 9 to 12, they're expected to apply all those skills to higher-level civic functions. They're arguing, interpreting complex texts, applying what they know, and participating in civic discourse. It's like a staircase building competency year after year.
But structure alone isn't enough, especially with the varied readiness and cultural backgrounds of students in a place like Alaska or, frankly, any big classroom. How do you maintain rigor without leaving half the class behind?
That's where accessibility becomes non-negotiable. The curriculum has Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, guidelines baked right into its DNA.
UDL, right.
So this just ensures that instruction provides multiple ways for students to engage with the material, multiple ways to make sense of it, and critically, multiple ways for them to show what they understand.
So UBL means scaffolding is always available, and we should be clear, scaffolding isn't about giving the answer away. It's about providing the right tools so the student can focus on the hard thinking, not on some structural hurdle like how to organize their thoughts.
Exactly. We're talking about things like graphic organizers, sentence starters, or giving them a choice in how they express themselves. Maybe it's a digital map instead of a 5-paragraph essay.
So accessibility isn't about lowering the bar.
It's about raising the cognitive floor for everyone. It ensures every student has a viable path to show that they are doing rigorous work.
And this brings us to what I think is the most revolutionary part of this whole system assessment. If you reject the coverage model, you have to reject the traditional test that goes with it.
You have to. The traditional test, the one designed for short-term recall, is almost completely gone. The sources note that tests appear where appropriate, almost never.
I love that.
Instead, performance tasks are the backbone of assessment. The focus shifts from that one moment of recall to a sustained demonstration of skill.
And the centerpiece of this whole assessment revolution is the portfolio system. But when we hear portfolio, a lot of us picture like a dusty binder just stuffed with every worksheet. This system is very specific about what a portfolio is not.
That's right. The curriculum says it is not a scrapbook or an endless collection of worksheets.
Right.
It is a curated collection of meaningful student work. It has 2 jobs. It's the primary record of learning, and it's a tool for reflection and growth over time.
A curated collection. That word implies choice and organization, which ties right back to those higher level skills we need. How's it structured?
Again, consistency is the key to making it manageable. Every portfolio has the same structure. A section for each unit. Inside that section, the student has to include the main performance task for that unit.
Okay.
But then they also get to choose 4 to 7 mini tasks from a bigger menu of, say, 8 to 12 options.
So that element of choice, of selecting the work that best shows your learning, that's where you build crucial executive function skills. Planning, self-evaluation.
It is. But the most powerful part of the system is the revision culture. This is the absolute heart of persistence. The expectation is simple, and it's mandatory. Students may revise any task to meet proficiency or mastery.
That completely shifts the psychology of the classroom. If revision is expected, then failure is just a draft. It's not a final judgment.
Precisely. It normalizes growth. It normalizes persistence over getting it perfect the first time. It teaches the skill that successful professionals use every day. You get feedback, you refine the work, you don't just stop. It's an explicit lesson in endurance.
Okay, let's be realistic though. This sounds amazing. But if students are constantly revising and teachers are grading these curated collections, isn't that a crushing grading load? Especially for teachers with limited prep time.
That's the #1 logistical challenge they had to solve. And the solution is radical consistency and simplicity. First, the student does the organizational heavy lifting by curating their own work.
Okay.
And second, this is vital, a single, consistent 4-point rubric is used for all major tasks across all grade levels.
One rubric for everything. That's remarkable. What are the criteria that stay the same?
There are 5 core criteria: evidence of understanding, accuracy, communication, completeness, and strong reasoning. And for history or geography, it's about making sure the information is historically or geographically accurate. Because the criteria and the scale emerging, developing proficient, mastery never change, teachers spend way less time trying to figure out some new complex rubric and more time actually coaching the thinking. It cuts down the administrative burden dramatically.
This all sounds like a dream for a student, but we have to talk about the teacher's reality. In a lot of small or rural Alaskan schools, a teacher might be teaching outside their primary certification area. How can they coach a high school world history class if they aren't a global historian?
The curriculum knows this, and so it changes the expectation. The teacher doesn't need deep content expertise. They need to model learning strategies. Their job is to model curiosity, to show students how a knowledgeable person approaches a topic they don't know well.
And the modeling instructions in the source material are so explicit, they focus on the internal monologue of a capable learner. I love these examples. For middle school, which they call "we're researchers now," teachers model asking those first critical questions.
Yes, the teacher literally says their internal process out loud.
Okay.
I don't know this event very well. What's the context? What sources should I look for? They're teaching students how to teach themselves.
And this includes modern literacy skills, like how to vet sources. They model skepticism, even with powerful tools like AI, saying something like, this answer sounds confident, but it might be wrong. Let's check. Where did it get this?
Exactly. You're coaching thinking, not just transmitting facts.
Hmm.
And for high school, which they call scholars, communicators, and citizens, the modeling shifts to the analytical thinking you need for civic life. So the teacher models questions like, what perspective is represented here? What's left out? Who benefits from telling the story this way?
Okay, so let's tie this all back to relevance. The whole thesis at the start was that local knowledge matters. This whole model seems intrinsically tied to place-based learning.
It has to be. By necessity, the curriculum focuses learning on Alaska's incredibly diverse histories and cultures, indigenous perspectives, local community connections, local government. That makes all the evidence gathering and analysis immediately applicable and important to a student's actual life.
Can you give us a concrete example? What does a big performance task look like in this model?
Sure. Take sixth grade geography. Unit 1 doesn't end with a test on capital cities. It culminates in a major task. Either a map-based storytelling project, this map reveals, or a map analysis report.
Okay.
And that report must require students to explain map distortions or limitations. It forces them to think critically about the bias that's baked into the information they consume every day.
So you're forcing them to be critical cartographers, not just map readers. That's a very sophisticated goal for a sixth grader.
It is. Or think about seventh grade world history. Unit 1 ends with a project called Origins of Us, Global Story of Early Humans. Students can synthesize what they've learned in creative but still sophisticated formats. They can choose to make an illustrated map essay or, lean into their digital skills and produce a podcast episode.
So that output is rigorous and has to be evidence-based, but the path to creating it is flexible.
That's UDL in action.
Fascinating. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If we step back from the Alaskan classroom for a minute, this whole system feels like a powerful blueprint for how to learn effectively in any field.
It's a profound shift from consumption to production. The entire system is focused not on how much you can memorize, but on building critical thinkers, modeling persistence, and prioritizing long-term transferable skills.
Like executive function, planning, organization.
Exactly. When students are constantly managing a portfolio, evaluating conflicting sources, and revising their work for clarity, they're building the exact skills you need to be well-informed in any modern context, a professional meeting, a civic debate, or just trying to navigate the fire hose of data on the internet.
It redefines what true rigor is. It's not about how hard the multiple choice test is. It's about the depth of the inquiry, the quality of the evidence, and the persistence it takes to achieve mastery.
And that enduring focus on critical evaluation leads us to a final, provocative thought. It comes straight from the high school U.S. History Curriculums Unit on legacies, memory, and identity.
Okay.
If history is not a static set of facts, but a continuous analysis of evidence and interpretation, then we always have to ask ourselves, how is history interpreted? Whose stories get told, and why does that matter? That question is the work of being a well-informed human being.